everybody, John here. We're going to make a very simple macro to increase the size of these shapes. And this macro is also going to show you some basic steps on using a form in your macro. So first thing we do is Alt F11 on your keyboard brings up the Visual Basic Editor. We can use the same macro that we were using before. We right click, insert module, name the module, and then right click, insert user form, and we do the same thing. I'm just going to put form main. You can put any name you want. Has to start with a letter. And you'll notice when we have our form selected, the properties window shows us many properties that we can change on that form. Okay, one of the properties is the title, so we'll put GDG size it. No catchy. Resize the form. This is our toolbox with controls. Controls such as a text box and a button. You can name your button, Go. If you select a button, you'll notice the property bar changes and you can change some features on it. You can change the color of the text, or different font, bold. Okay, and then we're going to name our text box. I'll put TXT height or size, and then our Go button, I like it a little shorter, so we'll go CMD for command button, and then just put Go. And if we click on this command button, it gives us a sub. Whatever code I put in here runs when I click the command button. Okay, so we're going to run a sub that is in our GDG module. But the first thing we need to do is have a macro or a sub that'll show that form initially. So we'll go sub, size it, and then I'll just put form main dot show, and then VB modeless. Modeless allows you to work in your drawing window while the form is open, which I really like. And if you guys have any of my macros, you probably notice many of them are like that. Okay, and then our X sub, it'll be sub, we could just put Go 1 to make it simple. And what this macro is going to do is going to resize the selected shapes by a certain amount, add to their size, add to their height to make it simple. So we'll dim S as shape. Okay, what am I doing here? Oh, I forgot to put as shape. And we'll put SR as shape range. And then we'll put, let's try dim D size. I'm just picking any name here, but I like to put D because D will be a double, and a double is a decimal value to make it simple. Okay, and then we're going to set SR equal. Remember, you set an object. Use the set keyword to equal control active selection range. That'll set SR to be every shape that is currently selected, and that is a shape range. And then we'll do a simple for loop for each S in SR, and then we'll finish it off next to S. And we'll go S.set size, and we're not going to mess with the width. We'll just increase the height by the value in our text box from our form. And we'll just stop there for a second. We'll go D size equals, and this is how we get our form value. To access the form from another module, you type form main, so you go form main dot, and you get a context menu, and this is everything in the form. So after we put the dot, we can go dot txt size, and we could go value if we wanted to, but value is the default, so we don't need to type value. For the text box, the default is the value. Okay, and let's see, set size. We're not going to mess with the width. You notice it's optional because it has the square brackets, and this one's optional too, but you got to choose one or the other. Okay, so we're going to increase the height. So we're going to go s.size height, its current height, plus dsize. So we're setting the size of S while we loop through these shapes to its current height plus this size. Let's go back to our form and make sure we got everything. So double click go. What do we want it to do? We want it to run GDG. I hit dot on my keyboard, down, I hit tab. When I click go, it runs GDG go 1. So let's just quick test it out. And let's see, move that off to the side. We're going to select some shapes here. We'll just select these. And there's only one way to find out. You'll usually run into problems, but you work with them as you go, so we're just going to test it out. So while we're in the form, we can hit play and it'll run, or we could even go to GDG. And where's our form show macro? We can put our cursor in here and we could hit run. It runs this sub which just shows the form. So there it is. And you notice it's modeless. That means I can work on my shapes while the form's open. So let's increase their size by 0.1 and hit go. Ta-da! Increase the size. Let's increase it by 1 inch. Go. It increased each size by 1 inch. And a final tip, in your GDG you can hit a breakpoint. And remember I showed you previously how you use F8 to step through? That way you could watch the macro in action. So now we're going to run it. We're going to increase them again. Let's select them because it does the active selection range. We're going to increase it by 1 again and we hit go. Uh-oh. Breakpoint. It stopped right there because we put a breakpoint and we told it to. Now we can hit F8 several times and we can watch the macro in action. Ain't that neat? It does each shape in the shape range that we set to be SR, and then finishes. And it finishes this sub because we're initially running it through this sub here. And F8, and that's it. We're done. We used a user form. We have our properties for that user form, properties for each button, properties for each control, and we have another module which we showed you how to access the value in the form. Form main.text size, because that's the name of the text box, text size.